Good afternoon, good morning to some. This webinar is going to be a little short. It's a tips and tricks, I would say tips and tricks webinar on viewports. So let's get started here. It's going to be roughly around, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on whether or not AutoCAD agrees with me and questions at the end. So start off, my name is Patrick Smith. I'm a civil technical specialist with ATG. I have 3+ ish years of AutoCAD Civil 3D experience. I have general IT knowledge, a little bit of Revit experience as well, and 2-ish years of 3D modeling and 3D printing skills. So what are we here for today? So today we're going to be working with trying to do best practices managing viewports. So we're obviously talking about viewports a lot today. We're going to be working with polygons. I'm going to show you how to do polygon and circular viewports, tools for working inside the viewports, try to, best practices with that. Keeping line types and annotation consistent, which can always be a pain in the butt. Everyone has an issue with that sometimes. There's going to be quite a bit more to add to that, and there's little tips and tricks along the way that we're going to be using. A lot of commands are going to be used at the command bar. So if you have a notepad or something you want to write down these commands to help you remember them. Also, this video will be posted up to YouTube later, either if not today, maybe tomorrow as well. So you can always come back to it if you miss a command. Also, in the questions box here, you can ask questions as I go through here. I'll try to get to them. If not, I'll come back to them towards the end of the demonstration. So I'm just going to switch my screen over here to my AutoCAD. Here we have I'm on my layout tab here, model space. I just have a generic thing that I've been working with. And here we have a viewport, very simple box viewport. So I want to start off with creating dynamic viewport scale labels. This is something I kind of learned a little bit recently, is turning this scale. Sometimes places will have a scale bar down here telling you what the scale is of this viewport that you're looking at. Well, sometimes this viewport gets switched down here every once in a while, and maybe you forget to change the scale down here. So turn this into a dynamic scale bar here, or not scale bar, but it'll switch every time you change your viewport here. So easy enough. I just have this as M text here, and I'm gonna select this. I just put some hashtags here just to kind of for filler. And if you go up to your text editor up on the ribbon here, you go to field. A lot of these boxes are going to pull up on another screen I have. I'll just pull them over. Go to field and then field category here. Go down to objects. All right. We're going to select object here in the field names. And then the next portion here, you want to select the select object, because what we're going to do is select the viewport itself. All right. So this also works for architectural as well. I'm not sure if we have architectural or just civil or a little bit of both in here, but this works the same way, either way, for architectural. So we're going to go down to standard scale here and hit OK. Stretch this out a bit. All right. So now when I unlock my viewport, change my viewport here, all I have to do is do a quick regen, and you notice that the scale bar changes, or the scale changes to whatever the viewport is set to. I can change it to 1 to 30, do a regen, changes it here. Now I have heard that, just heads up, that this can sometimes glitch out, but me personally, I've never really had it glitch out or mess up in any sort. But just keep an eye on that. So, still use discipline and always try to check this as much as possible just to make sure it's at the right scale for what that viewport's set at. All right. So next up, I'm going to drag this on over here, just copying a viewport just by the simple copy command. All right. I want to get into now this next portion here doesn't necessarily have to do with viewports in particular, but we're talking about line type scales, how things look through viewports. So I thought it might be kind of useful to kind of understand what a PS-LT scale is and LT scale and what those do and how they affect them. So we go into model space here. Now, sometimes, and I used to have bad habits of doing this as well, I would select a line here and I would come over to my line type scale. And if this wasn't what I wanted, I would just change my scale over here, line type scale to, I don't know, 0.5 or 0.25. And then I would just leave it at that, leave it be. But I would say that's not the best practice. If you have to change the scale of a single line, you might as well just make either a new line type, because when you go into your viewports here, you want to try to keep everything consistent, I would say. So just if you have to change your scale on a single line, just make a new line type out of it. When you do PS LT scale, that's paper space line type scale. And you want to make sure that you try to have this on 1. If we had it set to 0, I'm going to go back over to layout here. Type that in again. You'll notice here, I set this to 0. Do a regen. So what this is doing, PS-LT scale is taking the scale of the actual model space here, like as if it was zoomed out. All right. So if you're having issues and your line types aren't looking correct, all right, first thing you want to try to check is make sure that your PS-LT scale is set to 1. All right. And then make sure you always do regen just to make sure everything where it looks good. All right, now the other thing that you want to check is to make sure that your LT scale is set to a factor of 1. Now it doesn't have to be set to 1. It can be set to 0.5 or whatever your LT scale you need to be set at. That's why I suggest not doing a single line over here. Not messing with any line type scales in your properties. Always have this set to 1. All right, because you can adjust that with the LT scale. If I wanted a 0.5, that adjusts all of them at the same time. So if we go back to LT scale and just type in 1, notice how the LT scale changes through the viewports here. All right. Now there's also like MS LT scale and CE LT scale as well. Generally, just keep all that to 1. CE LT scale is going to you're going to put it, it's going to ask you for a factor just like LT scale, and it's going to just do the one single line at that scale factor when you type in CL or CE LT scale. So, but just try to keep all your line type scales set to 1. All right, so let's say we wanted to have a circular viewport. Now, how do we get circular viewports is going over to your home tab, make a circle here. All right. Now this is just a basic circle used from the draw panel here. From here, we're going to go to our layout or layout tools. Both of them have the same layout panel. We're going to we're going to go to the layout viewports panel and then click on object. All right. Now we're going to select the circle and it's going to turn that circle into a viewport. The viewport can be used just like any other viewport, and you can change your scales here just like any other one. So that can be pretty handy for bubbles or whatever you need, details of certain locations. All right, so another one you got here is polygonal. So pretty simple, self-explanatory. You can make a polygonal viewport. All right, same thing there. So next up, I want to get into viewport clips. I'm going to use this one right here for a viewport clip. So viewport clip is going to be in the same layout tools. Go on over to your layout viewports here. Select the clip here. And then it's going to ask you where you want your viewport or what viewport you want to clip. So I'm just going to select this one here for now. Yeah, if it lets me here. I'll try a VP clip. Another way of doing it is the way I just did it there, VP clip. Select the viewport you want to clip. All right, so come up here, you can just trace over where you want to go. Let's say I wanted to go up halfway for some reason. C for close. That's going to clip it out. Now keep in mind, when you do a viewport clip, it's going to draw a polyline in here. That polyline, if you delete this polyline, that viewport clip and the viewport itself will delete. However, with this viewport polyline, what you can do, I'm going to turn that off. You can actually add in vertexes. Delete, remove vertexes. You can add an arc into here. So you can get really fancy into how you want your viewports. Maybe you're trying to not see a certain location or something. So that's the awesome thing about a viewport clip. It can be very creative. You can get very creative with those. All right. Now, maybe you made a mistake or you don't want this anymore. Well, that's easy enough here. You can go into right click on your viewport clip, select viewport clip here, and then down at the command bar, you can just hit delete. All right. And now you don't have that polygon around here anymore. So that is viewport clip and viewport clip delete. So you can get very fancy with that. All right, another thing I want to kind of show you, and some people, I'm not sure, may not know about it, is change space command. So as you notice here, I am in my layout tab. All right. Let's say for some reason I want to put something right through here. Now you might be saying, well, you're in your layout tab, so you're not, I mean, you're drawing on your paper space here. Well, with the change space command, I can hit in the command bar, ch space. What this is going to do is it's going to see, target the viewport. So now I got multiple viewports open here. I hit Control R to navigate to a different viewport. Control R, which lets you navigate through different viewports that you can see from your monitor. So with that being said, I want to select this viewport here because that's where I want this line to go actually into model space. So I'm changing the space on that line. All right. So after that's being done, lock the viewports. I always forget to lock my viewports. That's a big no-no. Always lock your viewports. Always, always, always lock your viewports. All right, now if I go to model space, you'll see it right here. Now this can be very interesting because let's say we wanted to get the center of this intersection. All right, just like so. Now if I come back over here, select that line, change space on it. Let's see if this works. It worked for me yesterday. All right. Now I can take this object, no, it didn't work, but you can get pretty creative with it and figuring out how to get exact locations. Maybe you wanted to find that exact spot there, or you notice I just brought something that I drew in model space, a circle. Now it's not there anymore. Drew a circle here, and then I brought that through to my layouts, my layout tab. All right. I'll delete that out of here. Let's see. Viewports, D-view twist. Now, some people might have, now not me in this case. I grew up using the 2019 and above on Civil 3D. However, if you're a little bit like older, using older versions, some of you may remember or still use the D-view twist command. So I'm going to type in D-view. You got to be inside the viewport. D-view. From here, you're going to want to select your objects that you're going to be twisting around. All right, so I'm going to hit those. Hit the twist command here. It's going to type in 90. All right. So what this does is it rotates this, but in model space, everything is still the same. So it's just rotating whatever's being selected with the D view twist inside of that viewport. But as you see here, it did not change the other viewports that you have sitting around here. Everything is still in the same. When you're inside of it, though, you'll notice your UCS icon is different. So if you were to go to type something, it might look weird. Get here. Yeah, as you see there, it'll mess it and put it in the wrong location, like 32. The way we can get around this is by doing our UCS. I can type. All right, let's see if I view. All right, so now my cursor is the correct way. And now, because I turned that sideways, now my text is in the correct location here. All right, so I got a couple text things here, and I'm just going to put in another one. We're going to work with some text annotation scales. All right, so we want these text sizes to be the same. So there's preferably you probably want to use labels and such. However, that's not the case all the time. Some people use multi-text. So in order to get these scales to be the same, or this text here to be the same, we want to go into the text here. Annotative is yes, and then so we got scale of, put this to an actual scale here. Let's do 60. And 30 on this one. If you right click on this and you go down to annotative object scale and you do add and delete scales, if they are not the same scale, they are now, but you want to make sure or add in the different scales that we have here. This is going to allow the text, even though the viewports are different scales, one's at 30 or one might be at 40 or one might be at 50, you want to make sure that these are in here. You can also delete the ones that you don't need as well. Now, this can get kind of annoying because you'll see like a 3D effect of when you go in here of all the different types of scales for that. And this is kind of why labels would make more sense, because that labels aren't going to have what this has right here, and this can get very annoying. So, however, on your layouts here, layout tab, they will be the same size. All right. All right, so what do we got next here? And if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in. If I don't have an answer to them, I'll find them out, put your email address in, and I'll find out that answer, and I will get back to you as well. So don't feel free to. I'll shoot you my email address here at the end at the end of the presentation, in case you don't want to throw your email out there to everyone. And then you can email me directly, and then I will email you back with an answer if I can, when I can find it. So we're going to go to next. Oh, and then again, I want to show you this. If you have multiple viewports here, if you Control R, you're inside of one. Control R will allow you to go through the different viewports. So that's pretty handy to have too. Another handy tool thing here is if you go up, if you're inside of a viewport here, if you go up to this little plus control, maximize viewport, now all of a sudden you're working inside the viewport, all right? And it doesn't matter how far you zoom out, you can come back here to the plus and restore layout. So you can work inside this viewport like this, and you won't mess up your scalings. So you can still, this is the viewport. This is not model space. You're working through the viewport into model space, except it's full screen for you, and you're not working like on the piece of paper there. So to get out of this, you're just going to go back up to that where that plus was, and you're just going to hit restore layout. You're not going to mess up your scaling that was set for that viewport or anything. All right. So there's another fun, really cool thing that I just learned yesterday, and I'm going to share it with everyone here. So I'm going to copy this viewport here. I'm going to copy it down, and if any of you guys do any match lines or anything for your work here, this is going to be very beneficial for you. All right, so I have two viewports here. Let's say we want to cut a match line right through here, all right, and continue this at another location. For this, we're going to use VP sync. All right, so I'm going to do VP sync. SY. Let's see. All right. Now it's going to ask me, so this is critical here. You want to make sure, so this, I want to do this one and then continue whatever's on the other end of this all the way down. So I'm going to select this one, and then my second pick is going to be this viewport here. All right. So as you see here, this viewport And then this viewport continued along here. However, now I can move. Get this out of the way. Now you can draw your match line straight through here, and it'll be at the exact location. And you can move this viewport over here, and it just continues. Now that is really neat. I wish I would have known that for a while ago. So that command is VP sync again. And you can, let's go ahead and move this down here, run it out of room. I'll do that again here. I'm going to copy this viewport. And it doesn't have to be a copy. I can actually just recreate another one here too. It doesn't have to be copied. Let's say it's a different looking viewport. Let's just say it's like this. All right. Right there. Do VP sync. Select my first viewport, and then select my second viewport. It essentially copies what this, so it'll copy this view scale here and then transfer it over to this one. All right, and you can throw a match line or whatever you're using that for. I just think it's super cool. Oh, another one I just thought of. All right, let me zoom in here. Something that I like a lot. Let's use this viewport right here. Unlock it. All right. Let's say we didn't want to use dview twist or something. I'm going to use a command that I like to use a lot. I can't believe I didn't forget it. I forgot about this. And it's called align space. All right. So with this, I'm going to, for some reason, I just want to go straight down this line here. I want to have completely parallel to the top of my viewport here. So I'm going to select this, move on down to here. All right. The next thing is now it's going to be the viewport. So now I'm back in paper space. I'm going to select that point to that point. That rotated it to exactly the way I wanted it to. Now I just have to fix my scale. The one thing about that, it does throw the scale out, so you just have to make sure that you go back to the scale that you needed for whatever viewport that was needing it for. And that command was align space. I'll put it in here again. All right. So, and lock the viewports again. Always lock the viewports. All right, so that's about it for that. So YouTube or the ATG website here, if you go to resources, you can check out other events for other webinars coming up for Civil 3D or any other ones that you guys are looking interested in at the all right, workflow and solutions, where I was just talking about where I had my new blog posted. Data shortcuts. Where is it? Data shortcuts right here. So if you ever wanted to learn how to do data shortcuts, there's a almost a step-by-step process on how to do it. With that being said, thanks for everyone spending about 30 minutes of your day and listening to about viewports. I appreciate your time and hope to see you guys come back and catch another webinar from ATG. Thank you all.